A student gets 3 correct answers. The dashboard lights up green. By human metrics, he passes, but the probability gauge remains stuck at 0.71. The system computes a refusal, locks the module, and schedules a review. 3 rights, and the machine says, not yet. This diagram shows the specific node in the agent hierarchy responsible for that refusal. Agent number 28, the Education Intelligence Agent. It operates a production-grade Python tutor, equipped with tailored feedback. To understand why the agent doubts the user, you have to understand partial observability. Teaching is operating in a dark room. You only ever see the outside of understanding: a correct output, a syntax error, a pause before submission. The mind itself is invisible. Because the mind is hidden, a right answer is merely pieces of evidence. It is not definitive proof of comprehension. This schematic details how the agent tracks that evidence. It runs a Bayesian knowledge tracing particle filter over 247 latent nodes. As the student works, the agent continuously updates a dense mathematical belief state for every single concept. A basic grading script checks an output and moves on. An intelligence agent maintains the capacity for mathematical doubt. 2 invisible parameters govern the student model: the slip and the guess. The slip parameter tracks the probability that a mastered student makes a careless typo. The guess parameter calculates the odds that a novice student gets lucky. A traditional plain autograder ignores these variables completely and expects perfection, treating a misplaced comma and a massive conceptual gap as the exact same thing, a 0. This is the autograder collapse, merging intention and execution into a single binary failure. The Bayesian engine separates them. A minor syntax error barely ripples the probability cloud of a mastered concept, but a genuine logic error causes the entire structure to plummet. If the slip probability climbs too high, the agent doesn't try to guess the user's intent. It deploys a probe, a mere identical problem designed specifically to disambiguate a careless typo from a genuine lack of knowledge. Without the ability to separate a slip from a gap, once the agent maps what the student knows, the curriculum planner takes over. It has to navigate a massive domain, 247 granular learning objectives clustered across 12 distinct programming topics. These objectives are wired into a directed acyclic graph that rigidly enforces prerequisite dependencies. You cannot learn break until you understand loops. The graph uses forward-backward message passing. Nailing a base concept like a for loop cleanly instantly updates the system's mathematical belief that you are ready for advanced concepts before you even touch a question on them. To select the very next lesson, the planner runs a specific filter. It eliminates any nodes the student is mathematically unready for and targets the zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development is the exact difficulty sweet spot. It isolates the specific band of problems that sit just past the student's current edge, difficult enough to challenge them, but not so hard that it crushes them. The planner then applies a downstream leverage bias. It ranks those optimal nodes based entirely on how many future concepts they will unlock once mastered. The system does not serve a static playlist. This chart details the applied problem of misconception diagnosis. To maintain a student's rhythm, the system had to drop feedback latency from 8 seconds down to a strict 2.5 seconds. It hits that threshold using a 2-stage feedback engine. Stage 1 uses a lightning-fast BERT classifier, fine-tuned on 50,000 flagged errors. It reads the submission and instantly maps it to a known misconception category. Stage 2 engages the LLM generator, which operates strictly under a pedagogical contract. It is explicitly instructed to never reveal the fix. It must acknowledge the error, localize the problem, and ask a guiding Socratic question. This table maps out the failure modes. The top row identifies the primary risk: pedagogical contract drift. Fine-tuned LLMs naturally try to be helpful. Over time, they easily regress into giving the user the exact code fix. To prevent this, the engineers built a deterministic tripwire. They run a 200-case regression suite of anti-spoiler tests against every single model update. They supplement this with an adversarial reinforcement learning agent that actively tries to trick the system into spilling the answers. If the RL agent succeeds more than 1% of the time, the LLM update is automatically rolled back. You cannot rely on an LLM to simply act like a good teacher. This complex, multi-tiered architecture is actively reshaping the $20 billion education technology sector. This graphic outlines who is actually building this. Khan Academy sits at the most visible edge, while code tutoring platforms like Codecademy, DataCamp, and Duolingo are all racing to deploy these specific belief state frameworks. Running these frameworks requires significant compute capital. Integrating this rigorous structure forces platforms, even philanthropic pioneers like Sal Khan's Khan Academy, to position advanced Socratic tutors as premium subscription tiers. By 2026, the market divides sharply. Free, basic LLM wrappers become table stakes. Proactive, belief state tutoring commands real monthly revenue. But operating at this scale introduces severe edge cases, specifically cold start bias. If the initial placement parameters lack demographic diversity, the agent systematically underestimates minority students. The structural fix requires forcing calibration against a stratified sample of 10,000 students, backed by periodic fairness audits targeting predictive parity. And when the math reaches its limit, the system relies on a human in the loop. If a student repeatedly hammers the submit button or triggers a distress signal, the AI stops guessing and alerts a real instructor via Slack. The defining competitive moat of a premium AI tutor is not its ability to generate answers, it is its built-in awareness of its own limitations. Which brings us back to the student from the beginning. He got 3 right answers, and the system told him no. The agent scheduled a space repetition review for exactly 4 days later, right when his memory was projected to decay. He passed that review. Then, the belief state finally accepted his mastery. 5 microservices orchestrated that single interaction. True machine intelligence in education requires the mathematical honesty to doubt what looks like success. The parent theory and code for this exact belief state architecture are documented in 30 Agents Every AI Engineer Must Build by Dr. Imran Ahmad. You can access the complete production-ready patterns by acquiring the book on Amazon, Pact, or directly at neuralsca. Building an agent to navigate the dark room of partial observability is the highest, most rewarding hurdle an AI engineer can clear.